Okay, this should be going. Hello everyone who is currently listening to another one of these things, of another late night rambles. Today, if I'm gonna be honest, what the fuck, John? So, today is July 23rd, 2017. Apparently, that today is the day where John Bain, aka TotalBiscuit, literally shat the bed. Alright? It is the day where he went full on egotistical maniac. And I don't know really what to do about that. Besides, well, making a response video to that, because I am not going to be touching Twitter with a 10-foot pole. Nor Tumblr, nor anything else. So what exactly has happened? Well, today on July 23rd, 2017, especially when it happened when I was working, John Bain, aka TotalBiscuit, aka the Cynical Brit, was at a con known as Coxcon, a convention, that was created by one of his friends, Jesse Cox, which is basically a convention based around internet culture and, well, gaming. And for what has happened, it has went from something that's so minuscule and so, like, so nothing, in which case it is literally nothing to do with anything, and so minuscule that you don't have to do anything about it, and it has pretty much turned into a complete and utter travesty on his end. Or say butt fucking over exaggerated reaction to, in which case turned into this. At this con, during a Q&A session with the Jesse Cox himself, it has come to mind where not only did Jesse Cox ended up getting questions in a Q&A, one of them decided to do an old-ass meme joke and ask, are Traps gay? Now, for those who don't know about the context of this, traps are referred to an anime trope, or in this case, somewhat Japan trope, in which case it talked about a more feminine-looking, well, not usually feminine. It's usually one character, gender, or sex, I guess. Don't want to trigger all the Tumblrites out there. That one side of the gender, which is supposed to be one gender, who thinks themselves as one sex, again, keep on doing that, who thinks of themselves as one sex, and is described as one sex, but it looks and dresses like the other. That is the context of the trap. Traps usually refer to boys who end up looking more feminine, in which case it would be something along the lines of Chihiro from Danganronpa, who looks feminine, who wears a dress, and thinks himself as, well, not thinks himself as feminine, but it sort of like fits the image of feminine to sort of justify his sort of weakness as a boy. He is not really physically adept, and tends to be very discouraged. So in order to fit that, he decides to go to dress more, and not dress, well, yeah, dress and look more feminine than he would. And that's the concept of a trap. However, when dealing with something like what TotalBiscuit had decided to do, in which case decided to ask people in the community to find this person, who look up information, to then be able to kick him out of the convention. Mind you, he actually refunded the money, so good on him, but good on, well, not good on him, good on TB, who who actually puts his money where his mouth is, or that all that YouTube money that surpasses God at this point, and put that where his mouth is and where he actually does this kind of shit. So with that in mind, people have responded to him very poorly due to not only him taking up as something that's supposed to be transphobic, because apparently the term for trap can also be identified as a slur for a transgendered person. Now, I don't claim to know much about slurs, but again, me being a I shouldn't really agree, but I'm a minority, and slurs go over my head. I really do not care about slurs. Especially so when some slurs have different kind of definitions than others, in which case people who try to claim of one thing can also turn up to be something else. I see people in Twitter try to claim that how our definition, I wouldn't say our definition, the recent definition of the word trap is actually the slur, and how we are ignorant on actually knowing this. But on the flip side, it could also be the same for them who try to claim that this guy was actually trying to be transphobic, in which case I highly doubt it. And it's just being a fun casual meme at some place called Coxcon, for Christ's sake. But with that being said, a good portion of people are completely going batshit nuts on people. Well, not on people. More or less on TV, who went up to defend one of his persons that he met at who he invited at the Coxcon podcast. It was Laura Kay, who was also ended up being a trans, who also went up to getting one of these patented miscommunications with the biscuits, and end up also getting a hot fire at one point. In which case, someone who asked why Laura had such a deep voice, who then biscuits just spew out hateful comments at the guy for being ignorant, who being transphobic, despite him probably just being curious out of the fact. And not only that, also going up to the next Coxcon podcast, to then ridicule this guy and talk about no transphobia here. It's not the first time that, TotalBiscuit has done that, but that's something for later. Either way, some people aren't really having a good favor with the biscuit right now. So what does he tend to do out of such ridicule? He decides to put more fuel on the fire. Brits are supposed to be much more well-mannered and a lot more level-headed than we ignorant Americans are supposed to be. So why the fuck does John Bain get to do this kind of shit? Like, seriously, he goes up to stir more controversy by not only making copy paste of previous ones, of previous comments with the exact same formula, just without the hashtags. Looking at the I stand with her comment, which is a literal copy and paste. Good job on you, TotalBiscuit, for that. And also how lost my train of thought here. Talk about little copy paste. Yeah, stirring more fuel in the fire, and by not only doing all these kind of copy and pastes, but also go up to try to insult people. Now, he goes up to tell how we can stand up against the trolls. TotalBiscuit, you are a literal fucking moron. You don't, and literally the first rules of the internet. Do not feed the trolls. What do, Biscuit? You feed the trolls. And now guess what? You're going to get spammed with R Traps Gay for a while. Probably until next convention, where you won't be really have that much power. Especially so when your good buddy Jesse Cox isn't there to support you. Now here we go with this controversy and where he goes up, and now he's actually getting ridiculed by past comments. Especially so when he gets getting roasted because a lot of the stuff is out of context, but bringing up past shit, and especially bringing up recent things of recent problems with TotalBiscuit, especially some that I also have with him, which also brings up to the his entire how he handles his entire channel, and especially his entire mental states as well. But what I'm going to be guessing for the next few days, I'm going to be expecting a little mental breakdown from TotalBiscuit. Probably go up to spend time away from the internet, but hey, who knows? But yes, we bring up a lot of people who bring up past shit that he said to be used against him. The fact that him and Miracle of Sound has at one point sort of made fun of other kins, which can also be contributed to looking like he's making fun of trans at that point, because literally I have never seen another kin who use pronouns or talk about pronouns as much as the trans has done. Especially so when both can be seen as something similar. Other kin is believing that you are like an entirely different species than you are, while trans is believing that you are a different sex, I guess. Again, I don't claim to know much about don't claim to know much about trans issues, but I believe you are a different gender and or sex than you are when you were born with. In which case, it gets a different kind of mental dystopia, or however you say it. In which case, you go up to start believing you aren't this isn't your real body, that you were born the wrong way, and try to make strides into sort of fulfilling that, unlike other kin where you can't really become a lizard person or a dragon. There's some people who have actually made a transition, in which case people had made the actual change from the other sex, usually using some hormone therapy, surgery, some however you kind of say it, a lot of difficult processes, especially when it comes to mental issues with these kind of with the trans people. But either way, sorry, I also got my computer up front and continue to looking up the shitfest on his Twitter, on the Twitters of @TotalBiscuit, which I'll most likely be looking through the entire time. Either way, TotalBiscuit again was talking about again. This is a late night rant, so my mind is going to be mostly very scattered and won't be really focused at times. So this is really improv at its finest. So yes, some other kind of criticisms to TotalBiscuit, talking about how claims that cowards who always run from their grievance, where adults can actually face them. Where people point out about him not even being able to unlift the comments of YouTube channels up, which is a fair point if I'm going to be honest. I personally like YouTube comments because it invokes conversation among people, not just towards John in this case, but but just more or less invoke conversations among people. You really can't do that in Twitch because the shits he does for that. Also, because you can only comment on stuff when you go through a paywall of a subscription of $5, and and is usually going up faster than Sonic the Hedgehog, which again, a new trailer for him. So anyone listening, go watch the new Sonic Forces trailer. And how Twitter is probably the worst things to spark conversations because you only have a limited amount of characters. It's not even a hefty amount either. It's literally 120 not word, characters. Try sparking a character, not character. Try spark conversation with that limitation. But yes, this is pretty much revealed the toxicity of the community and also of himself, along with the kind of views that TotalBiscuit has had. To point out of other things where how communities become nothing more than toxic fandoms, where making just a normal hug box where where only having a yes man is probably the worst thing to do when you're a YouTube content creator, where you cannot even take your own criticism amongst others and just group them up to others people, which like what other people have mentioned is similar to the Hillary Clinton case. We all know the bucket of deplorables comments and how we now have a literal online troll and Hollywood baits now in the White House. So yeah, good choice on the candidates, TotalBiscuit. Either way, criticism like this is something that should also be accounted for, and you cannot do that while doing the shit that TotalBiscuit has been doing. Or on another recent news for Angry Joe. Angry Joe has also had a recent meltdown of comments being toxic, him having a little breakdown, and now having disabled comments. Now, I am not really a fan of Joe, but I can appreciate some of his content. But even I know his comments and his entire community is really freaking toxic. Nothing but yes men and online trolls, which which other kind of people have kind of mentioned out where where the more you feed the trolls, the more power you give them. The more people are going to be inclined to do such things because you're such a thin-skinned bastard in all of this, which John has been proven to it. As so many more people with so many other kind of accounts that they're going to be making because Twitter's banning system is so freaking. It's pretty much useless to ban people because people can just make another account. But you are basically giving them power over you just by doing this kind of shit. The reason why I'm going to end up being really critical on John today is because he seems to not have gotten the rules of online trolls and seem to have basically gone fuck all. In case he, in this constant spew of copy paste of we shall stand against these troll online harassments, cowards, and you're just giving them more fuel to the fire. But the fact that something stupid as traps are gay is even something that you should be spending your time with and be able to curate your banning fiascos. Now this is the point of the video where I go through my kind of opinion on this kind of stuff. The entire meme of traps of our traps, our traps gay. Sorry, I don't know why I kind of started on that one. The whole thing with the our trap's gay meme. It is just plain up stupid. It is literally something that is shouldn't even be a thing, but due to TotalBiscuit's entire fiasco with this kind of thing, it has become way too much overblown than it usually has. So much to the point where people of the anti-SJW communities are also taking note and using this as their own kind of feeding ground and could possibly perpetuate their kind of own narratives. Glad you think of that ahead, TB, because now you're not only dealing with criticisms of only just online haters and people who do not agree with opinions on the gaming industry or of such things, but now you're also getting people with your own political ideologies and see how they would go up. Remember how JonTron done the same? Yeah. And now he's going up hiding in Twitter. Hasn't made a video ever since. You do the same TV with a probably growing support of people who are going up against the anti-SJW community. I'm going to be betting you won't be showing your ass on Twitter anytime soon. So, why in the world does this even have to be a thing? I must ask. Because again, it seems to stem from the whole Laura K thing, and also another thing, TotalBiscuit. You doing this has now sparked up the entire Laura K controversy, and has now bring her into the spotlight, and will now also be under fire as well. Good job standing up to someone who got their fifis hurt and now making them a part of the spotlight, you freaking cunt. It is probably probably one of the biggest faults of TB, which I'll go through later. But again, I just want to focus on the entire trap thing. It is something that is just plain up stupid. Traps in itself is just a trope in anime. It's just a literal trope. It is nothing to get your panties in a twist at this point, especially so when anime is becoming so popular. But people seem to use this as a soapbox, as recently shown from the anime community, with certain people in the anime community just going all out on it now. In which place I would say that good luck trying to get through Japan because they're in their own little world. I mean, look at Nintendo. Nintendo was the only gaming company that is trying to be creative and living in their own world. And really can give a rat's ass about reviews and of the media. However, I would like to just say that while these kind of tropes are the kind of a thing that I really kind of don't really pay much mind, because traps and reverse traps, which are the opposite of the boys, which is the girls who look like boys, but the whole thing do have the right to exist, and the entire thing about it is really just stupid internet drama that is being perpetuated by TotalBiscuit, who at one point does try to condemn it being internet drama and how they used words as sort of a martyr for anything, because oh look, he said she said this, but is literally just nothing but a narrative movement, which again I'm going to be expecting another one of these kind of videos from John Bain. Probably going to look up a SoundCloud pretty soon here, but yeah, this is just a really clusterfuck of things. Again, I really don't think this should even be a thing, but thanks to the brilliance of the cynical Brits, who is now getting close to just being the crybaby Brits. But is something that really shouldn't be a thing, and is completely a useless topic to go through. But people like their hypotheticals. Hell, even Sargon of Akkad during the latest Think 3 kind of mentioned and how uh, a quote unquote trap has gone through legal trouble through this, and it is going through a philosophical kind of dilemma in this point of are traps gay, which can be interesting topic, but it's just stupid. It's literally just stupid stuff. So now going through the critiques of TotalBiscuit, not only just through in this entire fiasco, but of just in general. I enjoy now out of this kind of personal take, I actually enjoyed his videos. I enjoyed his like view of the video game industry, how it strangely works, how these intricate parts end up being what they are, and how video games get to be how they are. It's and the Coxcon podcast has been one of my favorites podcasts since I've been usually using them to catch up on these kind of internet news outlets. Though I imagine that this next one is going to be nothing more than a clusterfuck. I will completely see TotalBiscuit making a virtue signal about the trans community, about this entire internet drama, saying fuck all to all the people, probably say fuck off to all Trump supporters because, hey, you're allowed to do that to your own fan base now, can you? But it is again another thing that is just the complete and utter narcissism in this kind of thing, because I have also noticed how much of it how much TotalBiscuit is viewed as an authority figure at this point, and how much that egotistical idea of his can pretty much go overblown with him. Just because he goes up to having around 2 million people following on his YouTube channel, doesn't mean you get a big head over it. Hell, I would even argue that people like him isn't even nowhere near someone like Markiplier, and that's not even including PewDiePie, who is literally the king of YouTube. And considering how much of a stir PewDiePie has also been going with this kind of argument, I can imagine a lot of people the people that John are pissing off won't be leaving anytime soon as well. This narcissism of his will be his little downfall at the end, and I can imagine him dipping in views and sub counts as much as he did with someone like like JonTron, who had gone through a similar thing. Now, can I get past all these kind of views and he's like not only his political views, but just his views in general on life and such? Yes, I can. I can totally get past those and probably still watch his Coxcon podcast stuff. However, his behavior is something that's going to be less desirable, and I can imagine him going off the rails and slowly becoming this as a norm, especially on something like his channel and in his own videos. Do I want to do that? No. But other than that, I literally can't really support that. And the only way to even get through that, because I'm certainly not going to be using Twitter for any time soon, I have literally unsubscribed to him. Been subbed to him ever since high school. Just today, unsubbed to him. That has probably been one of the more, I wouldn't say really painful kind of things, but more or less just something that's so indifferent infuriating to me, and something that's like, yeah, I just did that, and just kind of shrug it off. But it's been something that has been, I guess, something that would probably eat at me in the inside if I was something like probably the me when I first found the Quattro podcast. In which case, it would have been the TGS podcast. In which case, it would have been like close to 4 years, maybe. Maybe close to 4 years. Maybe close to 6 years. Maybe something similar to that. I don't know. But yes, it's probably something where that kind of me probably would have been torn about, but this one I just kind of stopped really caring. And it's really a disappointing matter because I know TV should be a whole lot more better than this. If I'm going to be honest, he's been a good inspiration on the things, having an open mind, looking at the corruption of certain industries, including not even just in the video game industries, in industries in general, where companies don't really owe people any kind of favors, where they don't really owe their customers anything besides the products that they're given. And it's very ironic that TotalBiscuit has been the one to say that, but it has also ended up me being the one to also disown him as a company, where he doesn't really give a fuck about his supporters, about the people he's making money off, about the content he's making for people to consume. He doesn't care about those kind of people. He just really cares about well, I wouldn't really say, but just really the money in it all. But I wouldn't say really the money. It's just really sharing the views. Probably the money would be a good portion of what he does this kind of stuff. And it's just a really disappointing thing because he basically becomes what he hates or what he preaches against about the corrupt industry and about how business practices goes against what he said. This is literally a business practice and that is literally going against what he said, because you guys know about well, I guess if people haven't really seen, go check about my last video of these late night rambles, where I talk about politics and how pretty much so useless they are and nowadays because they are so divisive, and how this kind of stuff really falls and how companies really shouldn't even get themselves involved in these kind of political views, and end up getting flack for this kind of stuff because they try to make a statement out of it. Would basically try to use their platform as something else besides delivering their product, which is probably something that TV is also will also be regretting as well. A mass number of people would end up taking him a very major hit on himself, and going through the apocalypse isn't also something that he should be doing right now. If I'm going to be honest, he shouldn't really be getting himself into politics. But just like him and Jim Sterling, they get such a short temper and end up doing shit that they will end up regretting. That would basically go against their own narrative. Well, not just their own narrative. It just goes against their brand in general. And how people seem to sort of like view these kind of things. It's best for companies to just avoid political alignments all in general. People who try to make a statement out of this just end up crashing and burning at the end of it all, and get really ridiculed for that. And since John goes up to ridicule companies, and he himself is now a company, it's going to be the exact same for him. He shouldn't have gone in politics. He should have stuck with the brand and the products that he promises, which is critique of video game industries But he just can't do that. He just really can't. And he's going to find himself in probably in a situation he will regret. And this is not me for or against any kind of SJW kind of alignment. This is me, sort of like viewing this kind of crap. And considering how thin-skinned he is, it doesn't make it any better, in my opinion. Especially considering he goes on the blocking rampage he is going to be going on. He is just one man, really. He can't really keep up with all these accounts. And if he continues on in this kind of pathway, is literally going to drive him insane. Literally look at Shia LaBeouf. That is a literal example of what happens when you're dealing with 21st century people who would go far and beyond. So, what do we also get here out of it? What does John Bain get out of this? What does he get out? He gets exposure. That's what he gets. He doesn't really get the money. He doesn't get. Well, he gets exposure and virtue signaling, saying how much he needs to reclaim how much he supports this ideology, even though a simple thing such as our Trumsgate is even able to make him so defensive about this thing. It makes me question whether he actually believes this shit or not. And I can imagine so much more things that can end up happening, such as probably one of my favorite things that are bound to happen is John Bain getting shipped with actual traps. I could see people making fan arts of those things and shit posting about this kind of stuff. If I'm really going to be honest, and I just find that completely hilarious. But imagine John Bain shipped with Hideyoshi. Imagine him being shipped with Chihiro. I can definitely imagine the misses. And not really enjoying this, but he's been through worse. He's went through literal fan fictions of him and Jesse, but that was years ago. Well, it could be even close to being called decades ago in this kind of stage, because this is a literal different John Bain altogether, which another thing I'm going to get into. Yeah, for companies, they should just generally avoid temporal politics, and this is a literal shitty move by John Bain, not only just as an old person, but just as a business practice. You don't want to go fucking political on this kind of shit, you know? All you really are doing is dividing fan bases. You're limiting yourself to a certain fan base. You can't let people open their minds about situations, and you can't let people discuss about differencing of views if you're just going to go up to virtue signal for a certain group because I am a liberal. It really just pisses me off on how much of a hypocrite John has been, which kind of really gets me onto some of the critiques of John Bain. John Bain in this has been acting like such a man-child in all of this. He goes up into virtue signal about how the trolls will not make them bow, even though just acknowledging the trolls is a signal of you bowing. They do not care if you bow or not. They care of getting a reaction out of you. You're a little dumb fuck if you think that is think virtue signaling like that is actually going to be doing anything, of actually going to discourage trolls from actually doing anything more, and actually encourages them to do more. No, it's not something you should be doing. It is literal Internet 101, where you do not have to feed the trolls. Just ignoring them is just all you should be doing. But with him perpetuating, adding fuel to the fire and insulting people, then blocking, yeah, you gotta ask yourself who's the coward in this, John. Other kind of critiques for this is basically how much he cannot even handle criticism. How much he really just hides behind any kind of excuse he can get just to avoid criticism, despite him being a video game critic. Where he can dish out all this stuff, but he can't really take it. It's something that is really, oh yeah, at Edgar person on Twitter, this will backfire. Yes, it will, Edgar. It is really stupid on John's part, and he probably will just make an excuse behind it all again, or probably make an excuse to avoid the internet as much as he wants, until it all blows over. In which case, I would suggest that you're going to be given a year for that if JonTron's case is going to be anything to go off of. But yeah, John doesn't really take much to criticism, which is very ironic for being a game critic. Worst part is that he has, at many different points, had helped people try to go against the stigma of labels, of sticking labels into these kind of things, where again I even have to go up. The constant use of these kind of terms will just make them less apparent, make people less numb to them, especially to people on the outside. Just going up to spew that you are transphobic, just because you ask these kind of things, it makes it in the statement less impactful. You use these kind of things in very spruce moments where the situation is actually appropriate, in order for it to be actually impactful. People who use racist, sexist, who go to saying they are racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, any kind of phobic in the kind of LGBT kind of system, where these kind of people just get numb to it. The amount of times you're going to spew this kind of crap, that people are going to start to get less of a shit about it, and it has happened. Hell, even the feminist kind of community have stopped using this whole kind of entail of using racism as this kind of layman terms to back up their claims, and now just using white supremacy as their new buzzword that can help basically make a confirmational bias for whatever they're using. Yeah, because notice how these kind of people are no longer using races. They're not just using white supremacists whenever chance they get. But now we kind of go into this kind of to the stuff where I lose my train of thought a lot. Give me a second. Right, getting real numb to these kind of stuff. The more you keep on perpetuating these kind of things, the more people are just going to end up stop caring. It's the exact same thing that happened with Hillary Clinton, which again, TotalBiscuit had made a point of being an egotistical maniac because he went up to yell at his wife. He yelled at his wife for having a different view of his opinion and thinks it's his wife's fault because she voted for a third party because she didn't like Hillary Clinton or Trump. Which I don't blame her. Both of those candidates sucked ass. The only reason why Trump has gone because a lot of people want to see the world burn. Well, not really the world burn, but really want to see the government go in flames. And currently, people aren't getting what they're asked for. But literally, when someone like TotalBiscuit goes up on his high horse and actually goes up to verbally abuse his own wife, someone he made his vows to, just for having a different opinion, I can definitely see him do this kind of shit over and over again. It hasn't even been a fucking year since that. But out of all these kind of things, probably one of the worst things he's doing is probably just kind of like showing his true colors in all this, or really showing how much he is no longer the TotalBiscuits he is today. I've been growing up as a fan of TotalBiscuits. Might as well go into this kind of story. Been growing up as a fan of TotalBiscuits, and just kind of seeing him go through all these kind of troubles where where he's gone through literal cancer, where his life was literally at risk. I do feel for the man, and I do hope he goes back. But I literally think John Bain was killed off by cancer by this, because far long ago I would not imagine John stooping to this kind of level. I would not imagine TotalBiscuit going up to do this kind of shit all these years ago, because I thought of him as someone who's actually level-headed, who actually thinks about this kind of stuff, and not someone who rages about it like a 13-year-old, who's nothing more than a man-child stuck in a grandpa's body, where I do believe he was killed off by cancer. This is not the TotalBiscuits that I remembered, and will not get the TotalBiscuit biscuit in a long time. Probably won't ever get the TotalBiscuit ever again, which is a bit of a sad thing, and why I kind of just unsubscribed to him. While I will still watch some of his videos, I probably won't be doing any of the sorts with his kind of content. I won't be subscribing to him. I won't be paying for any kind of shit he's going to be doing. Probably won't even be watching his live streams, as I'll be just content, just watching, watching the stuff on YouTube. Because we all know YouTube won't be even able to pay for all this kind of stuff. So just freaking like a turd cake on all this kind of stuff. I do still respect him for his opinions on the gaming industry, and would like to at least kind of discuss these kind of stuff. But literally, the way he is going, I won't even think he. I literally won't even think he would even give the time of day anymore. Won't even give people any kind of platform with different views anymore. Hell, he's already condemned JonTron on many times before. And even then, back then, he had JonTron on his show many other times, shared many great laughs with each other, and all of a sudden, condemns this SJW kind of community, and sharing his kind of worldviews. All of a sudden, he ends up being the bad guy. He ends up looking like a monster, where you got to no longer associate yourself with these these monsters out of men anymore, and basically make jokes out of the expense of these kind of people. And guess what happened when people made those jokes out of the expense of these people? you get your company shat on and get yourself a horrible reputation. Look at the people who were making a ukulele out of that, and look how the support for that just dropped. If only they stayed silent throughout the entire thing, but no, they didn't. And now they gotta live with this kind of ridicule. Same thing goes with John. He's gonna have to live with this ridicule now. And it's probably gonna be one that probably won't be leaving him for a long ass time. But yeah, the John Bain I knew was long dead. And I got to ask John Bain of this kind of question for the people who, and probably for John, who will probably never see this. But again, it is hypothetical, and because he loves to look at this kind of shit, he would love to talk about this kind of shit. I would have got to ask you, John, is this what you want to be remembered as? Especially and I talked about this, or well, not talked about this, but I also thought about this when you're going up to literally yell at your own wife for having a different political view of yourself. Is this what you want to be remembered of? You are literally going through cancer right now. Do you want to be remembered as this crybaby once your inevitable death comes to you? Do you want to be remembered as this kind of crybaby who cannot even go against people who have a different view, and looking at the face of criticism, that he cannot even get the criticism now. He can't even take his own criticism, even though he made his entire job based around criticizing other people and their work. Is that how you want to be remembered as? Not some martyr for the game industry, to open up your mind, to look at these kind of things with an open eye, with an open mind, and to go up to make criticism, to be in a world where criticism is thriving, and you got to understand how to deal and to receive criticism. You won't be that John at this rate. You won't be remembered and as this kind of martyr, as the sort of symbol to go against these shitty industry practices. You'll be remembered as the one who contributes to these shitty industry practices. Who just can't really do anything about it. Is this what you really want to be remembered as? And this is a really hypothetical. When you die, whether it's through old age or through terminal age, is that what you want to be remembered as? Have this legacy that your children will be following up upon? Is that what you really want to have? To be looked up to the kind of people who also roll over to their friends just because they have differing opinions, and also work upon and treat the people who make your income, who you piss on them. Is that what you want to be remembered as? If you die of cancer right now, is that what you would rather be remembered as? It's something that I'm hoping you will at least consider. At least when you push back all this egotistical God complex that you have. Would you like to be remembered as that? Or what would you want to be remembered as? What would... If you die tomorrow, you say... If the people in your hospital said you only have 24 hours to live, how would you spend that? How would you want to be remembered as? In comparison to all the things that you have left behind right now. is something that you should be looking more into, and look into the grievancy of your cancer, and not us. Us who should not even give a damn about you. Who is just another face in the industry, and it can be as easily disposable. It's something I would rather not have to chew your grown ass out, because you are in your 30s, maybe probably 40s at this point. But do you really grasp your situation? Do you actually grasp the situation you're in and will probably leave behind? Because at this rate, and you probably might as well die from a cancer stroke. Not cancer stroke. I don't even know what a cancer stroke is anymore. I had a cousin who died from cancer. Why do I not know these kind of stuff? But yeah, when you die, how would you want to be remembered as? Because I'm hoping you won't be remembered as this. You won't be really go really far if you just go in this kind of route. And not to mention all the this kind of shit that you will probably just accumulate all during this entire time, and probably will never live down until you die. Might be tomorrow. Might be in years. Might be in decades. Who may know at this point? I do see you as an inspiration, though, TotalBiscuits, and it just really disappoints me that you're just acting like such a man-child over something that is so fucking stupid. Something so fucking silly that it shouldn't even be a thing, and then you made it into something that's supposed to be super big. Well, it's just nothing. It is literally nothing of a case that you just perpetuate and make bigger and bigger out of your own fucking pride. It's something that's again, you are something that should be much more better than this. If I was ever in your position, which may or may not even be my position in any time soon in my own future, if I was ever in your position, I would probably won't even be doing this kind of shit. Look at your friend. Look at fucking Yahtzee, who has to deal with the constant criticism of everything, and you know what he does? He doesn't give a crap about them. He makes an entire video career out of shitting video games, despite having them their own ups and downs. He specifically highlights all the flaws in them. Well, usually highlights all the flaws in them, makes them a lot more bigger, and it's just kind of became his own shtick at this point. But he is at least more thick-skinned than you are, who goes up to hide behind his own comments, behind everything, who can barely even have who you can barely take a discussion with people of a different opinion. But when it comes to people like Yahtzee, I can imagine him having a nice conversation with him. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but yeah, I do find him a lot more approachable, despite him being, all this kind of stuff. But it's really just petty internet drama at this point. I don't even know why this should have been a thing, but it is a thing, and it's going to be a thing for a long ass time. I probably name this something along the lines of "What the fuck, John?" A rant on TotalBiscuit and his career. There's just so much stuff that something that he should be much more inspirational on, and especially as someone who talks about something about the size of communities, how people should look up about the responsibilities of the communities and what he was brought up with. And then he does this kind of shit over a fucking joke. Over something so fucking stupid. He's just so fucking pitiful, man. I do thank you, John, for being a sort of contributor to making me go through all these years of, well, going through all these years of sort of the shit childhood I've had, about kind of looking through us with a skeptic's eye, sort of the ones to really get me onto this kind of path of this kind of like free thinking mindset. And to also look on the objectivity of games, who look into different values of games, and look at the different values that I'm even willing to even contribute. Something that I would like to thank you gracefully, and note that I won't really pray for you, but really thank you without a doubt for making me the way I am as of today, and had an essential part in my teen years, and sort of like prepubescent years. However, just like everything else, things need to die out. Things need to move on, and just like me and my own brother, have to move on with my own kind of life, to cut off ties, cut off passes, and to move on to further myself as being a better human. I'm just hoping you also take that in consideration, John, to be much more humble, to I guess look at all these kind of stuff. How even Christianity declared how pride is the greatest sin of all mankind, and you are currently showing your pride right now, and how freaking poisonous it can be. But yeah, that's just my general take on the entire fiasco. How it's really just a stupid matter, shouldn't even exist. John ends up being nothing more than a crybaby at this point, where he should be a lot more better. He should be looking to his own power, and be noticing that maybe I shouldn't do this kind of stuff. But yeah, fuck it. SJW's fault. It's nothing but the haters' fault. It's nothing but trolls and edgelords' faults, but for being criticized and not anything else. But yeah, it's just something that I just can't believe is something that should be going on with. I am so hoping that you, John Bain, would also gain this video, but. And I know I'm just a 19-year-old who has nothing but a smartphone with no editing skills, who's literally using his camera's iPhone to record his kind of thoughts. I do hope that this does come up to you at some point, and that you would at least take this in mind. And if you do end up listening to this kind of video, I do appreciate taking your time to listen to a 19-year-old, basically a 19-year-old nerd going through life, and going through the shitty parts of life, and into giving your time to listen to his late night rambles. I do appreciate that. But other than that, there's nothing else much I can say. It's really just anything else. So for people who just found this video out of pure coincidence and looking into this case. I do sometimes upload these kind of shit. Maybe one day I'll start developing a YouTube channel because I have more time. Maybe work on editing skills if need be. But other than that, don't expect much unless you want late night rambles to be a thing. And if not, in any case, do comment down below. Share your own views on this kind of things. Maybe we could start a discussion with each other. I'll try to respond. Well, maybe I will respond. Well, maybe share this with people you know. Who knows? But yeah, this is Jacob, the Foxfires, 964, with these late night rants, signing off.